And trees increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify the community, as well as provide a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas Fullerton held its first Arbor Day in 1971, and as I said, was one of the first cities in Orange County to receive a Tree City USA designation by the National Arbor Day Foundation. In celebration of its 40th anniversary, Fullerton strives to continue expanding and protecting its urban forest of over 40,000 trees. And whereas the city of Fullerton will celebrate this Arbor Day by planting 10 trees, as was mentioned here at Cal State University Fullerton, we very much appreciate the university's hosting of this event today and virtually engaging the community to talk about the importance of trees. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Bruce Whitaker, Mayor of the City of Fullerton, on behalf of the entire Fullerton City Council, including my friends Mayor Pro Tem Nick Dunlap with us here today with his daughter, and Councilmember Fred Jung. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. We do hereby proclaim April 21st, 2021 as Arbor Day in the City of Fullerton and urge all Fullerton citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands on Arbor Day and throughout the upcoming Earth Week. We've listed many of the benefits that we all receive and that our forebears have received over millennium of trees, over millions of years, actually. Trees clean the air. Trees help buffer noise pollution. Trees cool our homes, streets, and cities. Trees provide beauty and spiritual respite. They increase property values. They provide habitat to wildlife, as was mentioned before. They reduce erosion. In so many ways, I would add a few additional items to that. Trees are an important food source with nuts and fruits, and something that contributes to all of our health. The lumber, the construction materials, everything that we make of wood and have made that way for tens of thousands of years are irreplaceable. There's so much that we take for granted about trees. And was mentioned earlier, this coast live oak, which was planted over here, is a remarkable specimen. It will spread and provide a canopy of shade for those very hot afternoons that we have here in Southern California. That's why every tree, these 10 trees, are going to be an important addition to CSUF for years to come. The city is so happy to be celebrating the importance of trees and urge all of our citizenry to do as well. We're happy to have city staff here today, Public Works Director Meg McWade, and others who pay attention to the urban forests, and we all benefit from the care that you bestow upon our inventory. Today's Arbor Day was made possible through city partnerships, and so I did thank Fullerton Public Works, but also Cal State University Fullerton Sustainability Department, West Coast Arborists, and CAL FIRE. And with that, I'd like to ask Ms. Lynette Short to come and address you at this stage, representative from CAL FIRE, and we're going to be happy to hear from you once this is ready. Thank you.
Thank you again. So, as Mayor mentioned, I'm Lynette Short. I'm with the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection with CAL FIRE in our urban forestry program. I'm just going to touch on a couple of points because the mayor covered quite a bit, but I'm invited here in the spirit of Arbor Day, but also because of the grant that CAL FIRE has provided to the city. I do want to mention that the mayor mentioned also it takes a collaboration. It's not just one entity. So it's one big thing that we push with our grant program. We require that there are partnerships, that there's public outreach, and this grant program so far is set on a path for huge success, and you're going to receive a lot more benefits, intangible benefits, than what you can even list here. But a little bit about deeper into the history of Arbor Day, which is why we're here. There was a gentleman named J. Sterling Morton and his wife, and they moved to the Nebraska Territory in the early 1870s. They were lovers of nature. They bought over 100 acres of property, and they noticed it was very bleak and, devoid of trees. They loved trees. So they took the next couple of years, planted a whole bunch of trees around their property, but it didn't suffice. The area around them just was devoid of trees. So Morton was a editor in a local newspaper, and so he utilized that platform to advocate for trees and the benefits of trees and why they're good. Let's plant some trees. Over time, his prominence in the area grew, and he became Secretary of State in the area. And one day at a Board of Agriculture meeting, he suggested, why don't we all collaborate, get together, and hold an event that is centered around planting trees and people understanding the benefits of trees. So fast forward to that, everybody was on with the idea. And this is back in the late 1800s, where we didn't have the means of communication that we do now. So it's pretty phenomenal that later they estimated the territories around, but they planted over 1 million trees that day. It's pretty phenomenal. So they did a really good job at the advocating part of it. And that essentially just evolved into an annual Arbor Day type thing for the territory, eventually for the nation, and it spread out to other countries as well. So that happened, and that's why we're here today, and we're still celebrating this. Also, Morton was instrumental in starting a nonprofit organization called the National Arbor Day Foundation, which still exists today. And that is part of why we're here today, and in recognition of City of Fullerton receiving their 40th Tree City USA certification. It's not just something you apply for and you get. There's certain criteria that they have to meet, and it's a year-round type of dedication. The city has to form a dedicated tree board, so a number of people that make decisions about the urban forestry program in the city. They have to have a dedicated tree ordinance that guides the city in their policies and how they form their urban forest management program. They have to hold an annual Arbor Day celebration. They also have to spend a certain dollar amount per capita on their urban forestry program. So it's not just a simple certification. So 40 years of receiving that certification speaks a lot. And yes, they are one of the very first cities in Orange County to ever receive this certification. So and CAL FIRE, we just helped the Arbor Day Foundation recognize this program. So that's pretty big. Another part of the grant is that the city is going to be planting 500 trees within the grant citywide, some of them here on the campus. They're going to be updating an outdated tree inventory. It's basically going to create a baseline for the city to understand what it is that they have and what potential they have to improve their tree canopy cover. And after they update this inventory, it's gonna allow them to formulate a master plan for 40 years out or so, long term, in how they're going to better manage their urban forest program. So, and like I said at the beginning of this is not just one entity. It's a number of collaborators. West Coast Arborists is a wonderful partner with CAL FIRE, with many of our grants, but definitely with the City of Fullerton, the campus, and everything. So on behalf of the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, we help also represent the National Arbor Day Foundation. I'm pleased to be here today, and I thank you for letting us come out, and congratulations to all for all your accomplishments.
Once again, let me reiterate the mayor's thoughts and thank CAL FIRE, Cal State University of Fullerton, its president, our city and staff, and all those who came to join us today. Addressing the young students that go here, there is, as a father of a college student and one to be one soon, climate change and the impacts of it often venture into my mind every now and then. I'm old enough where I remember smog days in Southern California, where as a grade student I couldn't go outside because the air was so thick and the air quality was so poor that being outside was detrimental to my health. So oftentimes we'd have recess inside of classrooms. Those days are long gone, and it's because of the fact that elected officials, based on the advocacy of citizens, decided to change laws, emissions laws, and that changed the air quality. So I and the elected officials that are here today are duty bound to make sure that what we do has lasting impact that's beneficial for those in our community, and certainly for those that are the younger generation. So I am encouraged by the advocacy of all those that are younger than me. I expect that at one point in my life, not too soon, I hope, but at one point they will be teaching me far more than I'll ever teach them. Thank you very much for this morning.
Just would like to thank Councilmember Jung for your words of wisdom. Thank you.
Just a couple additional items here. I do want to share with those attending these beautiful plaques that were presented to us this morning of celebrating 40 years Cal State University Fullerton by CAL FIRE in the city of Fullerton, Tree City, USA. These beautiful elm, American elm plaques are truly wondrous, and one more example of the beauty of trees and how they enrich our lives. And one more personal note. This is, as a member of Fullerton City Council, my 11th observance of Arbor Day in Fullerton. And it's a date that my wife and I would never miss. This one's a bit unusual. I usually come attired, ready to take the shovel and engage and get my hands dirty and get some trees in the ground. We won't do that today, unfortunately, but I do have the two fellow members of the City Council, Mayor Pro Tem Dunlap, Council Member Jung, and I'm looking forward to handing off the baton to them and in hopes that they will attend many future Arbor Day events. And thank you so much for being here today. I want to thank President Fram Vergy, who was here earlier and who helped kick this event off. And once again, we truly value our partnership and cooperation with Cal State University Fullerton. Go Titans. And with that, we do have some preliminaries here and photo ops, including the golden shovels, and I'd like to invite those participating forward. We're good.
Thank you to all of our speakers. And this concludes the speaker portion of our event. And we would like now to invite Tim Crothers from West Coast Arborist, who will lead a tree planting demonstration.
Well, good morning, everyone, online and in person. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. My name's Tim Crothers with West Coast Arborists, Plant Healthcare Manager. My role at the company is to supervise the data collectors, as was mentioned by Lynette, the inventory updates. So I supervise the data collectors that are updating the inventory in the city of Fullerton and elsewhere in the state of California and in Arizona. The plant healthcare technicians that actually treat the trees for pests and diseases, fertilization, the consulting arborists that write reports and talk about the trees and how to care for them. So that's kind of my role, and I'm happy to be here as well to talk about the coast live oak that's going to be planted today. I would like to invite Gus. Gus is a foreman with West Coast Arborists. He's a planting foreman, and he's got his crew here, and he's going to be assisting in the planting of the coast live oak today. So I just mention a few little tidbits about oak trees in general as the crew gets started here with the tree. So maybe some people don't realize all the information, kind of neat things about oak trees in general. There's actually 18 species of oak trees in California that are native here to this state, and this is one of them, coast live oak. So the Latin name is Quercus Agrifolia. All of the oaks in the world have the genus Quercus, and there's at least according to some scientists, there's 300 species of oak trees worldwide, possibly as many as 500 that maybe some haven't been discovered yet or haven't been named. But this is Quercus agrifolia, coast live oak. So trees have either a Latin name or a common name, right? So the Latin name is Quercus agrifolia. Quercus is a kind of combination of two Celtic words, querc. So that refers to meaning of fine, and then cuz means tree. So fine tree is where that Latin name comes from. It's a fine tree, and I think a lot of people would agree that oak trees are fine in general. So Gus, if you wouldn't mind, so the crew, as they're starting to unload the tree here and unbox it and stuff, I'll mention a couple other things. So oak trees in general, they're kind of different from other trees and shrubs in that they have acorns as their fruit, which wildlife appreciate and take advantage of. Their flowers are actually wind pollinated. They're not pollinated by bees like a lot of flowers are. So their flowers are pollinated by wind. Their wood is very strong and complex. It's very valued for woodworking and making furniture and flooring and things like this. And then, the oak trees, they have an ability to live for many centuries. We think of stately oak trees living for 200, 300, 400 years. So they're great. They're great trees in the landscape, great trees in the wildlife environment as well. So this particular species, coast live oak, it's actually kind of unique to oak trees in that it's native to coastal conditions, maybe not right on the seacoast itself, but just inland from the coast, all the way from Mendocino down to Baja, California. So it's got a wide area that it's native to. And it's, like I said, from the coastal plains, basically up into the foothills and up to 5,000 feet. So this is an ideal climate and location for it here too. All right, so Gus has got the tree out of the box right now. So he's kind of roughing up the sides of the root ball to kind of loosen some of the roots and make sure that they don't continue to grow in a square pattern or kind of circular. We want the roots to actually eventually grow out into the soil in the surrounding area right here and develop its good root structure that's going to be stable for the long run. Well, this is a good specimen that I see here. It came from the nursery in a good size. It's got a good caliper on it. So we're always looking for trees to be planted with the the industry standards in mind, and this tree fits the standards. So right now he's measuring the depth of the hole to make sure that it's at the right height. You don't want the tree to be planted too deeply or too high, right? The nursery box straps are coming off. The tree will be lowered into the hole, and they'll make minor adjustments in the hole as necessary. Set the tree straight. Kind of rock it back and forth a little bit. So this particular specimen has a good canopy of leaves here. I see nice branching structure. Some of the branch tips have been trimmed back that maybe are a little flagging a little bit, and it'll encourage nice form and branching as time goes on. All right, so we've got our tree in the hole now. Another crew member's getting stakes for the tree. So one of the things I like to look about during the planting too is the quality of the soil. So a lot of people don't take into consideration the soil and the irrigation that needs to happen for trees in order for them to successfully thrive and establish themselves in the location where you're planting. So I look in this location here, I see good soil. It's not rocky or excessively sandy. It's got what looks to be a good soil moisture. It's planted in a turf setting right here, which is good for its establishment. So I'm sure the campus staff will ensure that the irrigation remains constant in this area and the tree is well watered to help it establish and grow and thrive. So the crew is going to get some stakes temporarily into the ground here as they're kind of backfilling the hole. What they're going to want to do is try to ensure that there's no air pockets in the hole, that the soil is well compacted. There's going to be good contact from the roots with the soil. If there's too much air, the soil would be too dry and the roots will dry out. So they've got their personal protective equipment, hard hats, safety vests, masks, glasses. So these 2-inch lodgepole stakes, these will support the tree for at least probably the first couple years until the roots are well established into the soil, at which time you can take the stakes off and the tree can stand on its own. So now they're starting to backfill, taking the soil directly out from where the hole was dug. We're not amending the soil at this time. It looks like good quality soil. It doesn't need to have any amendments put in it. And you can usually get a good idea of what kind of soil you have just by when you're starting to dig and looking at the trees and the landscape around. If the other trees and plants are thriving, you know you've got good soil. All right, so now the crew is preparing to tie some rubber ties around the tree. So those are going to attach around the trunk of the tree to the lodgepole stakes. Long time ago, they used to use just like a wire tie as a means to support the trees around some metal stakes, galvanized stakes. And what happens is sometimes people would forget about the ties and the stakes and leave them on too long, right? And the tree would get actually girdled. But now we use these rubber ties, which are flexible enough to allow the tree to move in wind events and allow the tree to acquire some taper. The whole goal is for the tree to be able to stand on its own. All right, so we're continuing to backfill here with the existing soil. It's being tamped down all around the edge of the root ball. They've taken the original nursery stake off of the tree, and now we've just got the 2 lodgepole stakes on either side. So they're backfilling right now, and as they finish backfilling, they'll create a well around the tree to ensure that the water, if there's any manual water, that's directed directly to the root ball itself and help it get established. So you've got some ties in the kind of uppermost part of the trunk and further down as well. As they're preparing the well, we'll just take a look around the landscape here, and you can see some of the neighboring trees. So off to my left here, there's actually a New Zealand Christmas tree, and in the background you see some Italian stone pines. And off to the right, actually, there's actually a grove of coast live oaks that are maturing quite nicely and looking quite healthy. And so if you're ever on campus, take a look at those, and you'll see what this tree will look like eventually. All right, we've got our tree in the ground, we've got it staked, we've got a well created around it. And this tree is ready for being cared for by the university staff. So one last thing I would like to mention is that since we are on an institution of higher learning here, I would encourage people, if they want to know more about oak trees, do some research online, or even read some books. I brought a couple of books that I like about oak trees as well. One of them is Oaks of California by Bruce Pavlik and others. So this is a fantastic resource if you want to learn about oak trees in California. And then as Lynette mentioned, there's we plant trees that are native in the state into our urban landscapes and urban environments. So there's actually a book, Oaks in the Urban Landscape: Selection, Care, and Preservation. So you can see it's so important that you care for trees well, that there's actually a specific book on oaks and how to take care of them in the urban environment. So these are both books that I would highly recommend. This one's by Lawrence Costello, Bruce Hagen, and Catherine Jones. All right. Yes, Mayor.
I know a threat to live oaks in particular is too much compaction of the root zone. So all those who appreciate these oaks, be careful not to trample too close to the trunk.
Correct. Yeah. So the mayor has mentioned root compaction or soil compaction around trees, just in general, and oaks too. So yeah, that is a common problem. Sometimes in parks and in landscapes, right? So yes, we want to take care of our trees, and so this berm is being created to direct water to the roots, and they will grow. So the roots will be out into the landscape, right? And so as the tree grows, you want to actually expand the area around the tree and kind of install some mulch around it to kind of prevent people from sitting directly under the tree and compacting the soil. We want that soil to stay loose and roots developed normally. So great point there. Thank you. All right, so I would now like to invite Mayor Bruce Whitaker, CAL FIRE Representative Lynette Short, and our Cal State University of Fullerton representative, Dr. Ari, to come for a photo op. All right, let's get a shovel.
better in pictures. Makes me look younger.
Hey, an action shot. We don't have air guitar, but we can do air shot.
This now concludes our event. Thank you so much to all of our speakers and our guests and to those at home. Take care. Happy Arbor Day.